Hello Plonkers and welcome back to another video on the Drewzy channel, and today I'm with Jesse again. We're talking, you always do that.
I can't help it.
Today we're talking about changes that the AFL needs to make to potentially make it a better sport. Where could improvements come in to make the sport better? Something a bit different, a bit more of a yarn of a video. How shit was the umpiring this year?
It's always shit, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's been a change from like late 2000s, from when there was just like missed calls to now there's just like completely different interpretation of the rules. You can watch soccer, pick up on the rules easy enough. Basketball, there's like a clear rule set. When watching games, particularly this year, the holding the ball rule completely changed. Players drop the ball and get away with it. Players that are on the bottom of a pack and have half a second to get rid of it can't get rid of it. The umpiring needs to change. I think they need to let the play go on a lot more. I watched a lot of waffle this year because I worked for a waffle club. And the umpires do let the play go a lot more, and there is more ball ups around the ground and whatnot, but it just leaves out a lot of the shitty like little calls that sort of, you know, athletes can deal with, a little nudge in the back or whatnot. But yeah, what do you reckon?
I agree. I'm not going to argue the umpiring is necessarily at a good standard. I think what the reality is that the AFL is thinking about the game as a product and not just thinking about the fairness or the best flow of the game. They're thinking, how is this most attractive to the viewer? And as a result, it looks like they're putting pressure on umpires to make decisions on free kicks. I think there is a belief that more free kicks means more open play, more goals. But so like you said, if you let the play go on, there's more ball ups, more stoppages. In the AFL's view, they feel like that's a less entertaining game. Yeah. So when you've got pressure from above to really ramp up like the way they interpret things, like, and be more trigger happy, that's going to happen. And again, like you kind of touched on, we play in a sport that is more, subjective, the decisions. You have to, unlike other sports, you have to work out what was his intent when he was trying to do this. Did he have a prior opportunity? Was he going for the boundary line on purpose? And stuff like that as well. So it is a naturally difficult game, but that kind of pressure also makes it harder.
Look at the scores from the old, like the 80s and 90s when the rules were a lot more basic and the games were way more high scoring.
Yeah.
Would that not be more entertaining? Question mark.
Possibly.
Is that because of the skill has ramped up, so that's why the scores are lower? Or do you think the umpiring has had something to do with that? I don't know.
I think there's probably been innovations in terms of defence. So, like, I don't know, like, I think teams have become more defensive and clamped down on it, and that's why you're seeing less, like, people kicking 100 goals in a season. Yeah. As a footy purist, I find it equally entertaining if it's low scoring or high scoring. Yeah. Equally, if it's a high scoring game, I think maybe the defence should have been better there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think
it's a boring twat, aren't you? But yeah, I think holding the ball rule just needs to be pure. If you're trying to get away from a defender and you get tackled, or you have a good chunk of time to get rid of it and you get tackled, don't dispose of it. That's it.
Nice.
It should just be left at that.
Yeah.
Hands in the back again, little nudges, pathetic.
Yeah.
They're big men, they're athletes, they can take it. And yeah, I just think let the players play, stop making stoppages. Yeah. Let the players play, stop the stoppages. There you go.
Well, players only love you when they're playing. Fleetwood Mac.
Nice.
What
other ways do you think the AFL could expand to improve the exposure on the sport?
Yeah, so if the context of this is to look at it like how would a foreigner look at our sport and think what's wrong with it, I think a good start would have, and maybe this won't happen over 1 year, it'll happen over like 50, is to just look at the inequities of our league and try and even it out. So I often think that if people looked at, the way our fixture is structured, they'd be like, okay, there's 22 games in the season. True. Like, I understand that you play, like, teams, if you finish at a similar position, you play them more often, but it's very still arbitrary and there's going to be unfairness, like, no matter what. And I understand logistically that's hard as well because we have so many teams and you can't play 38 games or 36 games in a season. Yeah. But I think over time, it should be a focus. Like, for instance, why did West Coast and Fremantle just randomly picking two teams? Why did they travel to Queensland and Tasmania in the same year, but Collingwood has played 0 games in Tasmania? I know it's not a far journey for them, but like there's inequities with how far you travel and stuff like that in the fixturing. So part of that will be if we have a truly national game where there's more players, more teams in each state. But yeah, for now, I think if you're a foreigner looking at it, you'd be like, compared to American sports or even the EPL, this is quite unfair.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Obviously, I think the NFL, each team plays each other once. Premier League, each team plays each other twice.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense. And yeah, you always look at the draw and it's like, wow, do we have an easy run this season or do we not? And it's like, in other sports, that's not a factor because you've got to play everyone. Everyone has to play the same amount of teams. All right, another point that I wanted to raise is the commentary. Now, don't want to be just like a negative Nancy this whole video, but the commentary in AFL.
Isn't that the whole point of this video? Is we're picking up things that are shit about our sport?
Yeah. I suppose. But look, my cousins in England feel like when they watch the commentary, they're just watching like a live action, just like bang, 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 like fuck, he's just got tackled on the ball. Like, what's he going to do with it now? Like, I don't know. Like, and when you see like ESPN watching the AFL, they always just get like clips of BT just losing his shit sort of thing. I think the commentary has taken a dip since, well, Dennis Committee obviously is one of the GOATs. I prefer like boring commentary over just like action, like lots of energy sort of thing.
Interesting.
I think someone like Nick Riewoldt should have a big role. You like Nick Riewoldt, but just players that can actually pick apart a game and not show bias. I remember watching Richmond versus Freo again. Just Freo supporter, West Coast supporter. They didn't actually know some of the Dockers players' names.
Yeah.
And for a top level national sport, that's just not on sort of thing. You can't be taken seriously in that sense. So what do you reckon? What do you think of the commentary in the AFL?
I can't think of a single commentator I like now that Dennis Committee's gone. No joke. Maybe Anthony Hudson, but even still, he's rubbed me the wrong way in certain games. But, I mean, it's important to contrast two different types of commentators. You've got the callers in the moment who are not there for their expertise. They're there for the energy. And then you get the guys and sitting in the background, you're like your Dermot Breretons who won't call the game at all, but give you the insight. It was funny because BT's, I think, the only former player that's a specialist caller because he's such a moron that they don't want his special comments. It's like he's there to call the high energy stuff. He annoys me. As much as I like Bruce McAvaney's energy, and same thing with Hudson in the big moments, those are the guys that do a good job. There's also, like, I think back to the 2016 grand final where Liam Picken kicks a sick goal and Bruce McAvaney goes, Liam Picken! Oh, Liam Picken! And that is, like, it's one of the biggest moments of the grand final, and he just bottles it. And then contrast that 5 minutes later, bloody BT on, I can't remember what it is, but he just
Boyd's kicked a goal!
Fuck!
The standard needs to be higher if it's going to be taken seriously.
One thing I will say as well is this one thing that's always shit me, and it's not just a West Coast thing. I've seen it happen to Fremantle. I've seen it. The commentators pick a team each game, and they only talk about that team, only get excited when that team kicks a goal, and then sort of, if that team loses, retrospectively give credit to the other team. And it's just so like half-hearted, and I think it's extremely unprofessional. So I agree with you on that.
It's not viewed as a contest sometimes, I feel like. That Dockers Richmond game really sticks out because they were talking about what Richmond could do the whole time to break down Freo.
Yeah.
But like it is like that. It's not viewed as like two teams versing each other. It's like, all right, what can this team do to the other team? The UFC has really good commentary. They have Dominic Cruz, who was a former champion, and Daniel Cormier, former champion. They can be biased at times, but their breakdown is just like perfect, obviously, because they've been in the sport. So I think just the breakdown and the analytical side of the AFL needs to be implemented more into the commentary.
I genuinely believe commentators go into the game with an agenda, either because they're told to or a personal bias, I don't know, but I literally mute the game often.
Really?
Quite often. And True Footy Live, we watch it basically muted, and I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Yeah.
I got another one, and this is a little bit not quite on the same sort of path as what we were talking about as well, but a good idea I think for the AFL to grow the game or make it more attractive is to invest more in a video game. So I think they are starting to do this AFL Evolution. I think they do invest in that. I'm not too sure actually.
I'm not sure, I
think it would be, and I understand video games take a long time before they get good. You probably need like 5 titles before it to be like actually quite good. But I mean, FIFA's a good example. That's probably won over a lot of soccer fans just because people play FIFA and know the teams. And I must admit my connection with Liverpool is a lot stronger because I play with Liverpool on FIFA.
Yeah, 100%.
People play NHL and therefore have a vague interest in NHL. Same with Madden. I know a lot of people who don't necessarily like have any connection to NFL, but they play Madden, they have an understanding of the team. So if we want to sort of build that, I think a video game is a really good way of especially attracting to a younger market.
Yeah, and I think Australian rules is the best ball sport in the world. I think it's the most entertaining. If we had a good game to back that up, we could do the cool shit that you see on TV. Like, that would be the best because, there's no sport like it. Like, as you were saying, NHL, never had an interest in hockey in my life, and I just loved playing that game. Same as Madden, and I fell in love with English football from playing FIFA.
There you go.
So, definitely investment is needed in the game because at the moment, it literally looks like a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
It is, I do acknowledge it's probably one of the hardest sports to turn into a game because it's complicated. It's a very 360-degree game. It needs a lot of investment, but it's also never had a real good crack. Like, nobody's really... You need to have 5 cracks at it before the game becomes any good. good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't mean butt cracks. I do have one final question for you.
Yeah,
This
go
is
on.
an interesting debate one.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Because people talk about making the AFL a global game. Do you actually want the AFL to become a global sport and necessarily maybe have like international leagues? What's your dream and why do you necessarily want it?
As I said, I think it's the best ball sport in the world.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be exposed to the world. When you watch like international soccer, international football, all countries have different styles. Brazil are very like technical, but like flary. You got English, which is hard nosed sort of thing. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see how different cultures match up against different countries. And yeah, Australia would be sick at it. So it'd just be sick to see.
Probably for the first 20 years. And
Yeah.
then get annihilated after that.
By Sudan.
I suppose there's no real downside. I just think for me, I don't particularly get that excited about it. For me, I love the sport as it is. And to be fair, the AFL has a uphill battle even making this game truly national. Like the AFL is still like second in the pecking order or maybe third in like Queensland and New South Wales. So obviously they're going to try and nail that first. We're talking like 100 years into the future. Could other countries play it? Maybe, yeah. It won't be my problem.
But yeah, we'll be dead.
Yeah.
But no, I'd like to.
AIDS. Yeah.
Because international rules and the Irish come over, it's always a good watch.
Yeah, that is cool.
Imagine having that like a tournament after every season.
Yeah.
What issues do you have with the AFL? Comment down below. The only issue I have right now is because Jesse smells like shit. Thanks for that, Jesse.
Thank you.
Go subscribe to Jesse.
Love you too.
Bye.